He got a bankruptcy hearing overturned, and it's gone back to a liability order to the council. He's going to get that dismantled again, so he's going to take it from right from the brink back to the beginning again. So that was quite humbling. That it's something that I found a special attorney, in fact, and it's nice to see somebody of Nala's sort of prestige using it successfully. He's actually proven in the Crown Court that you can represent a legal person as a natural person, which is quite good. So anyway, we'll just run over fundamental freedoms very quickly. Fundamental freedoms. Do you all know the difference between freedoms and rights? Hands up if you do, hands up if you don't. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Okay. Right.
Wouldn't mind you clearing it up.
Okay. A freedom is something you have. It's inherent. It's with you. It's not something that's gifted to you. It's not something you can ask for or presented to you. It's something you have, right?
Natural.
A right.
Natural.
Doesn't have to be natural. No. A right is something which is used to protect those freedoms. Okay? So the right is the mechanism by which they protect those freedoms. So what they've done is a switch and bait on is they've got us all looking at rights. Is I've got these little scrolls around. I've got rights. No, you don't. You've got the rights that the government decides you have, right? At the moment, because if you don't understand what your freedoms are, you don't know what your rights are, right? So anyway, so the focus is there's been a switch and bait, as I say, over the last 20, 30 years. What they've got to do, they've got us doing is talking about our rights. And we're like, you've got rights, you've got rights, no rights. Right, and what they've not been doing is talking about freedoms. Now, for example, the European Convention of Human Rights, which you call it now, right, in 1950 it was originally drafted by the Council of Europe, was called the European Convention on Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. Why have they dropped the fundamental freedoms off the end of it? The fact they've dropped it off should tell us we need to be looking at that, okay, because they don't want us to know what our fundamental freedoms are. Rights are gifted to you, right? You do have inherent rights. A natural person does have rights. You also have civil rights. I'll do a bigger talk on this another day. There's a lot of different types of rights, and there's a lot of conflicts between rights. But essentially, the rights are there to protect your freedoms, and majority of rights you enjoy today are purely there by the gift of the government, and they are civil rights. Okay, I'm not interested in civil rights. Okay, I'll stick to my freedoms. Thank you very much. Now, what they've done is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights defined freedoms that we have. Didn't say this is your freedoms on a list, right? It's in, if you read the document, okay? As you read the document, you'll find there's freedoms in there for you, right? It doesn't try to define your freedoms because Universal Declaration was designed for lots of different countries. So there's no point in putting a list of this is your freedoms, because what would apply to one country wouldn't apply to another. So they didn't go to that extent. Your freedoms are derived from your constitution. We do have one in this country. Your constitution, your customs, your traditions, your religious beliefs, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, what your social class is. There's a whole raft of things can decide what your fundamental freedoms are. My own personal view is that the fundamental freedoms I would like to have, one is life and liberty, before everything else. Life and liberty, right? I've got the freedom to have that, right? I've got the freedom to contract. And if you don't have a freedom to contract, you're a slave. If you get limited freedoms, you're a serf or a servant. I want freedom to contract, the freedom not to contract. That's the big one. You have freedom to protect my property and protect my family, right? And everything else can follow. There's other freedoms in the back of that, but essentially those would be the main freedoms I would have. If we could have those freedoms protected for us, the world would be a much better place. I think everyone would agree. The government, the state as they call it, the state is obliged under a number of international treaties to protect our freedoms. Observe, recognise and protect those freedoms, right? And to protect the rights, the inherent rights we have, and to provide us other rights to protect those freedoms. They haven't done a very good job of that though. It's almost as if they're scared of us having too much freedoms. And as we found out recently, well not so much recently, we've found for quite a while now, the government has got a focus now on the public good. My backside twitches when I say the words, but what's in the public good overrides your individual rights and freedoms. And that to me is back to front, that's communism. When they talk about if the public interest takes first. There is a compromise got to be reached between the freedoms that you enjoy, your obligations to other people around you, and also the obligations that the state has to, you know, to maintain a peaceful society. So there is a compromise to be reached. I'm not saying that we should all have freedom to anything we want. Of course we can. You cannot have the freedom to murder. I'll try telling that to our government. They're doing quite a good job in Afghanistan and Iraq at the moment, but the freedom to murder, I mean, nobody's going to say I've got the right to go and murder people. You know, that's just the freedom to murder people. That's just madness. You know.
With abortion, no?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, no, you're right, absolutely. That's where the rights start getting a bit. There's a compromise to be reached, and everybody's got their views on it. But absolutely, so you've got to balance your obligations to other people, not the state. I'm not talking about big society and this crap. I'm just talking about the people around about you. You've got an obligation. I don't hurt you. You don't hurt me. I won't steal your stuff. You don't steal my stuff. We'll live happily ever after. So there's obligations. If somebody's ill or somebody's not doing too well, you offer them a hand. If you see somebody short a few quid, you'll offer them a couple of quid. You know, it's how society should work. What's happened is the big societies come in and taken all that goodness and charity away. And what they call charity now is an absolute travesty of the word charity. This is just corporations hiding behind the word charity, you know, social engineering hiding behind the word charity. Now, these are not charities, a lot of them. So I mean, because of that, they've kind of dwindled, affected the desire for people to go and help other people now, because we're thinking, oh, the state will do it. No. Anyway, so your fundamental freedoms are yours. No one can take them away from you. Universal Declaration, no one can interpret them. Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Universal Covenants and the European Convention, right? They cannot take them away from you. What they can do is fiddle with your rights. Now, what they've done is they've presented you with freedoms and rights. Many, many years ago, they presented you with freedoms and rights. They presented your parents when they were guardians with freedoms and rights, and you just accepted them. I did. We never rebutted them. We just accepted the rights they give us. Why? So now's the time that and there's got some work happening in the background, now's the time when we have to stand up and say, no, actually, these are my rights. I'm not just standing on top of standing bleating into the wind. You need to write letters, get them into the Secretary of State, get them into the police, get them into your council. These are my freedoms. Your job is to protect them. I'm not asking you, I'm not requesting, I'm telling you to protect these. You've signed an international treaty agreeing to do that. Hence, that's why I'm sitting here letting you guys be in charge of me. If you're not protecting my fundamental freedoms, what the hell job is you? What job have you got? Why should I even be talking to you guys? So if you've betrayed my fundamental freedoms, I've no interest in even talking to you guys. So you need to be doing what's called expressing your freedoms. I'll be producing some documentation soon in this one. You can do what you want with it. But essentially, there's going to be a declaration of fundamental freedoms going to be issued soon. There's a big team in the background working on this. And what we're going to do is suggest a sort of covenant, an agreement, a meeting of minds between people, independent people, and those will agree what our fundamental freedoms are. We will do a mass signing of it. It's not a petition, it's not a request, it's a declaration. Right? These are our freedoms, do not mess with them. Right? That way, in the future, somebody says, oh, you've got to do this. I don't, I've already declared my freedoms. Okay? So it's a really powerful thing. So the whole concept of freedoms is fairly simple. You go into rights and it becomes a quagmire of politics and commerce, and it becomes very, 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 it's kept a lot of philosophers busy for a few centuries, put it that way. Right, there's quite a few books been read. Actually, I'm actually reading a book just now, or tried to read a book just now, I gave up. It's called An Introduction to Rights. And it's like, I can't begin to understand what the guy's talking about. It's just made it so complex. It shouldn't be that complex. The one thing that does jump out, there's a few things that jump out with rights I should bring to your attention. Right? Anyone in the future says to you, I don't recognise you as an actual person, there's no such thing as an actual person. We've all had that. Yeah, we've all had that from these little officials, drones, right? Pointing to, much as I hate to say this phrase, the Human Rights Act, right? Pointing to it, because in there it states, it does recognise there is natural persons and legal persons. There's one of the paragraphs that talks about natural persons and legal persons enjoying the right to private property. Right? It does state in there natural and legal persons. All the other stuff does as well, the other human rights stuff as well. I'll do a bigger talk another day about that, but it's just look up freedoms. Just to give an idea of how they've played with our freedoms. I've done a very quick scan today through the. Right, this is from, you've heard of Black's Law Dictionary, have you all heard of that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, Black's Law Dictionary is a big American dictionary. It's pretty much the daddy of all legal dictionaries. And the Black's Law Dictionary, it's been going for well over 100 years now, but it's interesting because you can see how the law's been interpreted and twisted and poked and wordsmithed over the years by going back over the nine editions, going back to the very first one and chasing the word through all the 9 editions. You can see it's changed meaning. So for example, Black's first, which is, I believe, was 1890. The word freedom, it states, this is the legal definition, remember, the state of being free, liberty, self-determination, absence of restraint, the opposite of slavery. The power of acting, power, remember that word, the power of acting in the character of a moral personality according to the dictates, without other check, hindrance, or prohibition, or other such as may be imposed by just and necessary laws and the duties of social life. The prevalence in the government and constitution of a country of such a system of laws and institutions as secure civil liberty to the individual citizen. That's good, and that's nice. Now we go to the fourth. Right, so the fourth was up to 1978. The fourth edition was the latest edition up to 1978, and it says exactly the same. So from 1890 up to 1978, the meaning of freedom hadn't changed. Then we go to after that, and they changed it. Freedom, this is from 1979, the state of being free or liberated, a political right. Okay.
Political right.
So this is the big granddaddy of see they even claim the legal dictionaries. Don't pick up a modern legal, I've told Rob this, don't pick up a modern legal dictionary and think that is the definition. You can go back to older legal dictionaries and use definitions out there. You'll find old ones that get better definitions. Because
don't they supersede what's going before? Those definitions, the 1979
supersede.
Got,
You can quote whatever you want, mate. If it suits you, quote whatever you want.
from way back.
Yeah.
But doesn't it mean that that's defunct?
No,
Because they've
no.
brought this interpretation up.
Black's Ninth, we call it, it's a new one that just came out this year, Black's Ninth. Within the movement we call it the corporate dictionary. It's been so bent now, meaningless. The Oxford Dictionary of Law now, as a comic book, chuck in the bin, is so political. It was written by bloody Barroso himself. It's so EU orientated, right? It's a nonsense, right? Go back into older dictionaries, guys. Don't just use the new ones. Get older dictionaries, you know. And if anyone's looking for dictionaries, I can put dictionaries your way.
I keep hearing references to Black's Law and that it's an American document. I've tried to find the equivalent in England.
Obvious.
Yeah, Americans have definitely, the dictionaries in America are black and white because Americans had citizens who needed to know the law, who exercised the law. In Britain they had subjects that didn't want us to know the law. So the law dictionaries in England are pretty dire, to say the least, dire. The Oxford Dictionary Law is a joke, right? They're dire, right? So because the American system is based upon the English system, we can, and we've got common law.
For one, we looked at the summons, for example.
On-
And against summons it says an order to go to court,
Yeah,
which I understand is not the definition of a summons.
there you go, it's a modern dictionary. Yeah,
Mm.
that's Oxford one.
Yeah, that's the Oxford Dictionary,
Yeah.
is an order to
In
go
order
to
to go
court.
to court, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. If you're looking at dictionaries, by the way, I would strongly recommend to people, before you look up the legal dictionary definition, there's 2 or 3 good commercial dictionaries on the internet. Look up the commercial definition first. Everything's commerce. Look up the commercial definition first. So when they say an order to go to court, what is an order? Right? Okay, if you look up the word rights in commercial, it's interesting as well. So anyway, so I've ran over freedoms very briefly. You need to know what your freedoms are. If you don't know what they are, you can't protect them, and rights are irrelevant. And as I keep telling people, if you don't know what your rights are, don't know what your freedoms are, you don't have any. I had a bit of a blast on the radio yesterday with some guy that got me, because I keep talking about United Nations and Universal Declaration and human rights and freedoms, and well, is the reason, is not the reason why we're in this room is because we want our freedoms back. Is that not why we're here? It's what, at the end of the line, that's what we're after. And for some guy to stand there, I'm not doing the Access United Nations, blah blah blah. God's sake, you know. Have you actually read any of this stuff? I wouldn't read that crap. So in that case, mate, you don't know your freedoms, you haven't got any. You haven't got any. You don't know your rights, you haven't got any. Good luck out there, right? He doesn't even know what he's fighting for. He doesn't know what he's struggling for. So anyway, Right, so I'll end it there on the subject of freedom. We'll do a proper big lecture shortly on what freedoms is, and I'll maybe not do it here, I'll maybe do it outside here, and I'll just post it on YouTube for you guys to watch. Right, on Court on Friday, following on from the last video I did, which I hope all of you have seen. Have you all seen the video from the last presentation I did about the council tax? Has everyone not seen it? Okay, it's on
last week. It wasn't from last week.
from the week before. Yeah. If you go into the Freedom Northwest website, there's a link on here, click on it.
Just joined today before it came in, it says it must see that one.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's on my computer and ready for it.
That's right. So that basically gives the background for those who don't already know about the council tax hearing. I've gone an interesting route, I think, in going for the council tax. I'm not standing there using some sort of crap, some gurus in America or Canada spouting, you know, we'll use that, right? We've gone for the route. I'm not interested in arguing with them. I'm going for the route. Who are you? What is your authority? What is your powers? What powers are you presuming? Prove it to me. Blah blah blah. What is this council tax? What's it for? Do we have a contract? Are my freedoms? You know, so there's these questions, you know. And so anyway, the council point blank refused. I won't go over that again, but the council point blank refused to engage with us. Refused to even sit down and discuss it with us, right? They apparently don't recognise natural persons, which is nice of them. Anyway, so on Friday, we got a summons. Oh, my good lady got a summons to go to court last Wednesday in Wigan Magistrates Court. Wednesday, I believe, is the time for normal people to go to Magistrates Court for council tax, right? So then we got a letter a few days beforehand from a chap called Sean McNally. Hi Sean, how you doing, mate? Sean McNally, who's presented himself as designated officer. I said, what is this designated officer? And yet when you dig into him, you find out he's actually not designated, like whatever designated officer is anything, you can call it what you want, right? But there's, do I have it here? There it is. So if you go into the HM Courts and Tribunal Service Board website, there's a chap called Sean McNally on their website, and his title is Executive Member of the HM Courts Tribunal Services Board, Director of Crime. That's who signed our summons, Sean. Okay, that's who signed our summons. What the fuck are you doing signing our summons? Okay. Anyway, so we're on you, mate. Okay. So we've got a summons signed by Sean McNally, Director of Crime, issuing vague threats of issuing warrants if we don't turn up, if my good lady doesn't turn up, issue warrants. He's a big tough guy, this Sean McNally. He's a real tough man, likes bullying little ladies like this, you know. He's got a big important fucking title, and likes bullying people. You're a fucking moron, mate, honest to God. Big bully. You think you're a tough man, didn't you? Anyway, we would see who's a tough man. Anyway, so Mr. Director of Criminal Persuasions or Crime, is it? Anyway, we're in the court on Friday, so we decided to go in there and invite them, because anyway we're getting threatened, because people are threatening us, you know, not asking us, inviting us, threatening us now. If you don't turn up, we're going to send big men out to kick your door down and steal your property and stuff, Mr. Sean McNally. Okay?
What was his name, Rob?
Sean McNally's
Sean
name was,
McNally.
that's SHAUN-MCNALLY. He likes to hide behind the title of designated officer, but he's actually Director of Crime, funnily enough. I mean, there's a good title for it. Director of Crime, HMCTS, Executive Member of the Board. Okay? Yeah. Director of Crime. So anyway, she went in on the Friday. And surprisingly, there was no police. We didn't get the police presence this time, which is a result in it itself, because we realised now we're not a threat, we're good guys. We stand there and defend our freedoms and rights. How you doing, guys? And anyway, so we're standing there defending our freedoms and rights, and we're good guys. So the police have obviously, some deal was struck down. The police are obviously not going to waste the manpower again, sending the fucking A-team and tactical response unit and God knows what, you know, in for a couple of defending council tax. The courts obviously as well backed off, because we didn't see the same faces this time. Strange, it was different people this time. So we were in there, and I was also the council solicitor. Actually a very nice young lady, she appeared to be a very nice young lady. There's actually good people in the system, there's some very good people in the system, you know, just get shitty jobs. and she was there as the council solicitor just on her own, and I went over there to give her the pack that I'd prepared, and she told me she wasn't allowed to talk to me. So obviously I was there as the natural person, because I'm 95% natural person, 5% legal. My good lady was there as a legal person. Anyway, so we prepared quite a heavy pack, basically challenging the whole last case. The fact that what they've done now is to put the two cases together, last year's alleged council tax and this year's alleged council tax. Remember, the last hearing we had was specific to last year's council tax. There's all sorts of procedural problems with it, identity problems with it. There's the guy, the Justice Clerk, or whoever it is, had signed this, had signed off a summons on the basis of a complaint that doesn't actually exist. My God, where do they find these people? So that's negligence, misconduct in public office. You'll be hearing from me shortly, by the way, we're working on it now. Okay, the previous judge, he wasn't to be seen. No idea what's happened to him. My good lady didn't get a chance to explain to the judge why she was using the word alleged in front of her name. He didn't ask, he just jumped all over human rights and fundamental freedoms and decided to be a complete arse and bully her again. So we explained all the background to that, everything was in there, and tore apart the process, asking lots of questions. We have had no disclosure, and we've had no discovery. We've had no disclosure and no discovery, right? Which is great if you think we're in the law. Okay, I'm about to show you something that's going to open your eyes up on the council tax. Anyway, so we get invited into the room, we attended the room. So this is verbatim what happened in the room, okay? This is, and my good lady will verify what happened here. So what she did was she was bricking it, I'll be honest with you, bricking it, because these bullying bastards who'd been frightening and threatening her, right? She was absolutely bricking it, right? At one point she was sobbing with fear, and she stood her ground against this judge. Listen, this judge might enjoy her job. I think it's a game. It's a game, isn't it? It's a game of chess. We'll outsmart these little serfs, you know. This is people's lives you're dealing with. You're that woman who's absolutely crapping herself in that court, and you're just a bully, okay? It's easy standing your side of the bar. Try standing the other side of the bar. You're not that tough. Anyway, so she went into the court, and she said, she stood there, and the judge said, "Who are you?" Okay, trying to take joinder. You understand the joinder thing, right? I'll use the word court for now. I won't be giving it all that nonsense, but that's effectively the same as say court or hearing, right? So she walked into the room and she said the words, "I, blah blah blah, the natural person, present myself to this administrative hearing as the legal person, Mrs. blah blah. However, I do this under condition, under duress, and in distress. However, I have under duress complied with the instructions of Sean McNally, the designated officer, and I hope that by doing so this man and HMCTS will now cease sending me threatening and harassing letters which are causing me distress and alarm." And they were causing her distress and alarm. So at that point the judge acknowledged that. So far so good. So she says, "Oh, I've got more to say, madam." And feel free to jump in if I'm saying anything wrong here.
They asked me again, "I did blah blah blah," and I said yes, but I take this legal title, but under duress.
So under duress, no joinder created, okay? So, madam, as you have a legal and professional obligation today, and in this place of business, and under your oath of court, not oath of office, first and foremost to recognise, preserve and protect the fundamental freedoms and human rights of all present, can I ask the jurisdiction and authority by which you and this hearing act in order that I can establish which of my human rights and fundamental freedoms are threatened, that I may defend them and to ensure that you are minded to recognise, preserve and protect all of my fundamental freedoms and human rights diligently and competently as a representative of the Crown and the State and your judiciary. I'll break that down so you can understand what's getting thrown at her there. It's loaded, right? So what we're saying is she has a legal and a professional obligation. She's an employee of the state. The state signed up to these international treaties saying they have got a duty, they've got an obligation to protect and preserve our freedoms, okay? So we're putting her under notice of that, we're placing her under notice. She's now working for us, okay? Which it should be, okay? In this place of business, it's a place of business. You go into the HMCTS website, it's all the way through it, it's a place of business. They laugh when you ask them that question, you go, "Yeah, we don't mean that. It's a place where we're all busy." That's what it means, it's a place where we're busy. It's a game for them, you know, it's fun. You know, they've lost track of the fact that human beings out there, whose lives are destroying. You know, it's fun for them. It's a big game. You know, they can't play Monopoly. Let's go and destroy a few people's lives for a laugh today. Okay, and under your oath of court. Now I've got a freedom of information request from Wigan Council. We've asked the question: what oath do they swear? These people swear when they're in these hearings, and they swear an oath of court, not their oath of office. Do you all know the difference?
No.
Hands up if you don't. When a judge is sworn in as a judge, they swear an oath of court. That's an oath of office. Sorry, they swear an oath of office. That's the formal oath they swear to Majesty the Queen, which gives them the power of a judge. Okay, they are a judge at that point, right? Acting under the Crown, acting in a judicial capacity. Okay, an oath of court is what a tribunal or an arbitrator swears. Right? It's not even a swearing, they don't swear it, right? It's just an attestation or whatever they do. Most of the time they don't even do it. But if you get into an arbitration hearing, the person that's sitting as arbitrator will do some sort of oath of court, or make some sort of gesture that they'll act impartially, blah blah blah. But it's not a judicial role. Okay, big difference, right? She may be calling herself a judge. She's not a proper judge under oath of office. Okay, she's whatever under oath of court. Okay, an arbitrator or whatever. Okay, so first and foremost, to recognise, preserve and protect. To recognise, to understand what rights are, preserve them, you have them here in front of you, and protect them. You've got a duty then to make sure you are protecting them. Not waiting for me to protect them, your job is to protect them. Right? So not waiting for me to say, madam, I've got a right, your job is to say, hold on a minute, his rights have been, our rights have been damaged here or infringed here, yeah. Okay, to protect the fundamental freedoms of human rights of all present. So that was myself as a natural person and my good lady as the legal person. Can I ask the jurisdiction and authority by which you in this hearing act? Do you understand how big that is, yeah? All the free men have had problems. Roger Hayes, what happened last year in Birkenhead, who arrested the judge, was because the judge refused to declare the jurisdiction of the court, right? He refused to declare what oath of he was acting under, his oath of office or oath of court. So that's why we arrested the judge last year. We decided not to do it on Friday, but I could have done. Because the judge at that point went, I've got authority, I'm a judge. I've sworn an oath to the Queen, of course I've got authority, I'm a judge. That's what she thought. She comes across as not a bad woman, she's got a shitty job. She comes across as a nice woman, to be honest, right?
It's naughty.
That was naughty. She's playing games with people's lives here. She switches off the conscience and goes into work in the day and destroys people's lives. I'm sure she goes back home, she switches the conscience back on as a lovely family woman, you know. This is this corporate way they can mess with your head, you know. I've been there myself. So she focused on the authority. She's making this big, yes, I've got authority, I'm a judge. Okay, well, nobody's questioning that at the moment, right? You are a judge outside this room, yes, you've got authority, right? What she didn't mention at that time was what jurisdiction she was under. Well, I'm sitting at the back, ready to step in as special attorney in fact for an S. I'd caught this, right? So I'm like, yeah, she's sitting there in Court 1 of Wigan Magistrates Court, right? Court 1, the big one, this is where all the big guys go, right? Under the Crown, under the Royal Coat of Arms. She's sitting under the Royal Coat of Arms. So there's a jurisdiction getting declared there, isn't there, because she's sitting under a coat of arms? Would you agree with me? She's presenting herself as having that.
What possible jurisdictions could she have stated?
You'll find it in a minute.
All right, sorry.
Yeah. So, but she's sitting under the Royal Coat of Arms, presenting to us that this is a trial under the Crown. This is a judicial hearing, right? That's what we're picking up from this, right? Misrepresentation. Anyway, and blah 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 blah. So we've asked her that. So she's made a big thing about her authority. She's primed up for the free man nonsense again, right? I've threatened I may defend them, blah blah blah. And what I've done is, at the end of it, I've said that you've used words like diligently and competently. Those are Bangalore principles. This is the principles of judicial conduct that judges must comply with. Okay. So lifted it with these words, okay, and basically put her on notice that she's there to work for us to protect our fundamental freedoms and human rights. So, putting her notice, you've got a job to do as well, you darling, you know. Anyway, so and after she'd finished making this big song and dance, I am a judge, you know. Can I, my good lady said, can I have your assurance, madam, that you carry your obligations independently and with impartiality? Two more of the Bangalore principles. Okay, and of course I will. That's what I'm here to do. That's why I'm a judge. Okay, okay. So, was there anything else? Have I missed it at that point?
No, then I asked her about the jurisdiction.
Yes, that's right. I'm at the back, I shouted, what was your jurisdiction? So Inez picked up on that and she said, Madam, what was your jurisdiction? And the judge said to me, I'm not going to divulge that information.
I actually asked her, but I think you should.
Yeah.
And she said, no, I'm not going to
Could
do
you
that.
walk side with that?
Yeah, I would
No.
have thought.
So I'll just repeat that again, right? We asked the judge, my good lady asked the judge, what jurisdiction are you standing here under? And the judge said, I refuse to divulge information. And my good lady said, well, I think you should be divulging information because I don't know what was happening here. And the judge said, like twice again, I'm not going to divulge information.
She
Okay.
didn't look me into my.
This is at the same time she's sitting under the
She
crown
goes, I'm not
coat
going
of arms.
to, and look down.
Yeah,
She didn't even
she wouldn't look her in the eye.
Does she not have to?
I'm sitting in the stalls. In the
Yes,
court,
she
there was
must,
only...
she must.
Absolutely.
That avoids the old
What power she got over you? What authority she
So
possessed?
is she breaking that contract that she had with you for protecting your rights by not saying, you know what I mean, you've got a right to know.
You do know who she is. You don't know who the court is. You don't know what jurisdiction the court's under.
Yeah.
Is this a criminal court? Is it a civil
Well, that's
court?
what
Is it
I mean,
maritime? Is it
Hasn't she broke
an arbitration hearing?
that agreement
Is
you
it
had of
court?
protecting your rights straight away?
Yep, absolutely. How do we know what rights we have, what freedoms we have and rights we have if we don't know what jurisdiction we're under? We don't know what freedom. How can she say we're protecting your freedoms and rights if she's not going to tell us what jurisdiction is under? That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is absolute fraud. That's what I arrested the judge for last year. She's sitting under that royal coat of arms and she won't tell us what jurisdiction she's under.
And the third question, why should be such a secret?
Yes. Well,
In
notice
the
why it's a
country of
secret.
democracy and openness.
Because I'm sitting there making a big deal of looking at the crown of arms and looking at her. Right. Anyway, so my good lady moved on to the next part. So we established the judge is not going to tell what jurisdiction we're under. We could have walked out at that point,
Yes, absolutely.
but decided to carry on. Right, we could have walked out at that point, right? Madam, you will note from the application for representation I've decided to have my partner and power of attorney to represent me today at this hearing. She's entitled to representation, isn't she? It's a freedom. As explained previously, English is not my first language, which it isn't. Not mine either, you will laugh at that. And due to past experience dealing with authority figures under the Soviet regime, I feel intimidated, at which point she was interrupted by the Justice Clerk, another lady, and she said, I can assure you, madam, this is not a Soviet court. And I started sitting in the back laughing. Right? Even the judge looked a bit sheepish at this point, you know, the dawning realisation it is a Soviet-style court. So anyway, so it meant she got really sort of quite emotional at this point, just to build up the frustration and the fear, you know. And sitting in the back of the court watching a woman there stand up to this organised criminal racket, let's be honest what it is, right? And she's standing there so built up, they've got nothing to lose, she's got a lot to lose. She can't afford this money they're demanding off her. They haven't justified why to give it, they haven't asked any of her questions. Basically their whole case so far has been, give us your money or we'll come and hurt you. That is the case. We've asked them questions, we've asked for disclosure, we've asked for discovery, we've asked all this stuff, and they've never once come back and given us a decent courtesy of responding to our questions. We did the Justice Clerk, we wrote him a letter. Could you give us some discovery and clarification here, what was happening? And we got like, I'm not going to engage in any more communications with you. You know, we got a smattering of little bits and pieces. He didn't answer the main questions. It's all a big wall of secrecy, guys, right? I mean, some people are of the opinion it's a Freemason wall. Yeah, I won't go that far, but I definitely think it's a criminal racket taking place. So these guys know they're in a criminal racket, and so up to now they've got away with it, and they're all complacent about it. It's a big game for them. Money, 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 money. HMC makes a killing in this. Did you know, by the way, when you don't pay your council tax, or you get challenged for this council tax taken to court, they charge you 65 quid, don't they? You've seen that because I added onto your bill, right? So they do a bulk order for say 500 people, right? And they add 65 quid onto each of those bills. You do the maths on it, right? The complaint they've put in cost them 65 quid, and yet they're taking 65 quid off each individual case. Money, 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 money. These are not places of law, they're not places of justice, they're places of business. And as regarding your codes of conduct, guys, we do not see you as being justice. Okay, it says it must be seen to providing justice and seen to providing, you know, professional standards. We don't see it, guys. We don't see it. Trust me. We've got a room full of people here that don't see it.
Rob, why would she be reluctant to not divulge what jurisdiction she was under?
Because it's not a court.
Was that
I will go into, I'll go back to that, I promise you I'll go back to that, right? I'll save that surprise for the end, okay?
Right.
Well, the big one is, because she's sitting, if she says it's anything other than
Oh, I know.
whether that coat of arms is, I've got every right to put her under arrest, okay? Anyway.
Anyway, I started crying not because I was scared, which I was scared. I started crying thinking why I should be doing that in
Yeah.
a country of supposed democracy.
Hallelujah.
Suppose
Hallelujah. Why should she be standing there facing a criminal bloody tribunal hearing when all the threats and the collusion that's happened with the judiciary and the complete non-separation of powers we've got now? These guys are colluding together. It's a money-making racket to drag innocent little ladies like that in front of them, to bully, harass and threaten them. Give us your money or we'll send big guys round and hurt you. You know, that's why she's in tears. She feels absolutely helpless because there is no law in this country anymore and there is no justice anymore. And the magistrates' court system is completely, utterly, bottom to top, corrupted. Okay? It's a money-making racket and they're doing very nicely of it. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a room full of people who agree with me here. So she says, Madam, talk English is not a first language and experience dealing with authority figures under the Soviet regime. I feel intimidated, in fear and ill, speaking directly to you, and I am unable to cross-examine the complainant. Therefore, to provide some measure of equality, I would prefer that my partner, Rob, moi, speak in my behalf. So at that point the judge said, of course we've got equality in this court. That's I'm here to ensure we get equality. I can assure we'll have equality in this court. Well, I'm looking at the court and I'm seeing the council got a qualified solicitor and I've got a judge who's hired as an arbitrator. There's some sort of collusion going on there between the council and the HMCTS. And the only person that doesn't seem to be part of this sort of coven is a good lady. So I'm not seeing the quality is. The judge might get in there saying she's impartial. She might be acting as an arbitrator, impartial arbitrator. But unfortunately, you'll find out, as I'll explain later on, right, is she that impartial? Okay, there's money behind this. They've got targets. They've got cost centres. Okay, we can't guarantee that impartiality, right? I didn't choose a judge. You didn't choose a judge, did you? No, you were there under threats. Is that equal? Huh? Okay. So the council demanded this information from us, from a good lady, right? And she's give us information, or we'll hurt you, we'll send big guys around to come and hurt you and take your stuff, right? We asked the council for information back, and his blank is out. Is that equality? They've got discovery from us and disclosure from us. We've provided everything they wanted to a certain extent. They've provided us nothing in return. Is that equality? We walking into that hearing equal? No, there's no equality there at all.
So you're not getting customer satisfaction?
Customer satisfaction, exactly. We're customers of the court, by the way. Couldn't make it all. Anyway, so the judge made a big deal about it was equality in the court. I shouted it from the back, how can we have equality if we don't even know what bloody jurisdiction we're under? Okay, at that point I was told you might be asked to leave. Yeah, okay. I draw your attention to the underlined sentence. She carried on. I draw your attention to the underlined sentence in paragraph 2 of the defence statement. It was a response statement, not a defence statement. I don't like the word defence because it's got a meaning, it's got a weight to it. You know, response means you're just responding to somebody whinging at you. A defence means it gives it more substance. But anyway, so a response statement that states that from the authority of the United Nations Declaration of 1998, I'll go over that shortly, this is one you all need to know, that everyone, in quote, that everyone has the right individually and in association with others to offer and provide professionally qualified legal assistance or other such relevant advice and assistance in defending human rights and fundamental freedoms. Quote, end quote. Okay? I'll repeat that again. Everyone has the right individually and in association with others to offer and provide qualified legal assistance or other such relevant advice and assistance in defending human rights and fundamental freedoms. Well, Judge pounced on that one. I am a qualified legal professional. I'm here to offer, they've obviously read our stuff, you know. I'm here to offer you that professional, qualified legal advice, and that's what I'm here for. I'll look after you, and
No.
you don't have to worry about it.
She said, no, I don't allow you, because it will be, if
Hold on, I'm not going to have it yet. Yeah, I do know that, right. She should make a deal with that. So next at that point, he goes, no, let me repeat the second part of that sentence. Or other such relevant advice and assistance in defending human rights and fundamental freedoms. What we're trying to do is get me, the natural person, representing my other half as the legal person, using the special power of attorney. Using the power of attorney, okay? At that point, the judge said, no, I'm not going to allow that because Rob, identifying me as a natural person, Rob would not be impartial. I've sat about, what?
You wait.
I'm there acting as her representative, her attorney. I'm not acting an instruction from her. I'm not impartial. Well, what's the council solicitor? So, I mean, I guess this woman's losing it now. I think we caught her off guard. I think we did catch her off guard, you know. I mean, I'm sure she's a nice lady. I'm sure she's a nice lady when she takes that bloody wig and hat off, you know. He's a wig and cloak off. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. But I mean, doing stuff like that was pretty bad, you know. So she denied me as an actual person the ability to go in there and represent my good lady, and she denied my good lady the ability to be independently represented, okay? And she did that, she mentioned that twice. So Ines, my good lady, carried on, as Rob will defend my human rights and fundamental freedoms, and I find him competent and with no conflict of interest, I invoke that international authority of the United Nations to allow him to speak to me today. What we're doing is we're playing a power game. They've brought some authorities into that room, limited that they are, we're bringing bigger authorities in. They're presuming some power of attorney over Ines. The judge knew it was happening. I was challenging her power of attorney. She's acting as power of appointment, power of attorney, to act as the advocate for my good lady. We've stepped in with a signed, certified deed with the donor and the donee in the room. You don't get any better than that, do you? That's pretty big authority to speak on behalf of someone. Well, the judge is bringing it to the room as an opinion, as a presumption. We've got it on paper. Poof. So that's the authority, right? So the judge was desperately trying to get my good lady to surrender to the judge's, to acquiesce the judge's reassurances that she would represent her and be fair about it, you know, and give proper legal advice. Yeah, okay, there was a power struggle taking place, and these hearings are all about power struggles. You do not surrender your freedoms, do not surrender your powers.
They kept pushing me. He said, yes, but can you sit there now? And yes, and I was all the time saying, just a second, and I will breathe again. And it's just a second, mother. Say, yes, but just can you sit, please? And we'll, the council, what do you want to say? And I'm sorry, madam, can I just read my rights? Can I still? So they kept trying to push me. Push me away.
Surface barking
just
back at us. Get back in your cage.
Away,
you know.
and agree to everything. And just
agree to it, and we'll let you know how much you've got to pay at the end of it, you know. So as she finished that, so she's invoking international authority, the United Nations, right? Which we've already established that this judge is this representative of the state, and the state has signed these international treaties, okay? And therefore, as this representative, she can't refuse it. Her boss has agreed to these. She can't refuse it, okay? So there's a power struggle taking place. So we're using that authority that she's got to comply with as authority protecting us, okay? So we've trumped him on authority in that hearing. We've trumped him on authority. There's more. You will note that a certified copy of the appointment of power of attorney of deed has been submitted to the case filed, authorising this man as an actual person or a legal person, I left that door open, to represent me in all matters to do with this matter, this matter, right? So she made it quite clear. The judge at that point again said, no, I'm not going to allow it. So she turned around, looked at me, and I went, carry on. So she went on to the next section. So she says, on page 6 of the Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct 2002, it states that, quote, ensuring equality of treatment to all before the courts is essential to due performance of the judicial office, end quote. So it's equality of treatment to all. It doesn't say all except whoever, well, all. It's pretty inclusive for me, yeah. That is the principle, and this is my reading again. That is the principle of equality. The application is contained in sections 5.1 to 5.1 of the Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct 2002, and it's very clear from those sections that, quote, a judge is not permitted to discriminate against any person, on irrelevant grounds such as social status or the like causes, end quote. It doesn't say any legal person or other natural person, it says any person, that's all inclusive. So that's include me as a natural person, okay? That's an authority I can throw at them, okay? The principle and application do not differentiate between natural person or legal person. The judge is trying to tell her to sit down at this point, and she's talking.
Yeah, I know about Bangalore
I know the Bangalore Principles, and I'm shouting in the back, well, you're not observing them.
Of course she knows everything, yes.
Yeah, I know the Bangalore Principles, I'm
Don't
a
need-
judge.
you
You don't have to
don't
educate
need
me in
to
Bangalore
tell.
Principles. I think I do.
Yeah, for
Anyway.
present.
Yeah, you might know them, you're not actually applying them. do not differentiate between natural person and legal person, and therefore it can be drawn that both forms of person are covered equally by this obligation on you, madam, and thus Rob may represent me today as either a natural or legal person without fear of discrimination. Statement fact. May I have Rob represent me here today? And again she refused. Right? At that point, she looked at me and I gave her the nod and I said, we're leaving. Okay? So at that point she said, madam, you are in breach of your professional code of conduct and you're in breach of your obligations and duties to uphold my fundamental freedoms and my human rights, and further, that I feel frightened and distressed and discriminated against, and thus I withdraw from this hearing as you dishonour yourself and for the reasons stated. Okay?
And the madam said, of course you can withdraw.
You have the
yourself.
right to leave the court. Yeah, we know. Bye.
Of course you can. Thank you very
Well
much. What we didn't mention, she also, when I said, but English still is not my natural
Oh
language.
yes, that's right. She's talking English not in a natural language because she's not. It's not a case of like, I don't speak English. She speaks relatively good English. It's just she's not used to speaking English in such a high pressure environment where the meaning of the words is so specific. You know, against these people that look try to treat her equally and not try to trip her up and not try to get her to use the wrong words. But for example, the Justice Clerk at the start asked her what's your address. You say, what do you mean by the word address? And she says, and it says that I'm sometimes domiciled at blah 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 blah, which we're all sometimes domiciled, right? You don't live anywhere, right? You're sometimes domiciled. So she's been, I'm sure what she's done is she's fraudulently now, and I'll say this for the record, right? She's fraudulently not recognised unless it said sometimes domiciled. And I'll bet in a little tick she went, yeah, lives at address. She's accepted this address, trying to create some sort of joinder sneakily and actually in contravention of what was actually said in that court, right? Interesting seeing that original document. Anyway, so that was essentially, I mean, that girl was so brave. She stood to face that judge down, you know. But I mean, I would have done it, but I need to be the natural person because we're doing that, we're playing a bigger game here, you know. So,
The language you didn't forgot.
oh, sorry, the language one, yes. So she, the judge says, well, I think your language is adequate. Then she got us off the top of her head, right? And she said, what professional qualifications do you have, madam, to making that professional judgment?
And that caught her off guard,
As it
actually.
would do.
I wonder why.
As it would do.
Because she said, we probably, and she started looking at the council woman, and she said, we probably could consider a translator.
She turned to the council solicitor and says, can we get a translator?
Yeah, could
Why
we-
is the judge
no.
asking the council to provide a
Could
translator?
we
Who's running that
consider
court?
to get a translator? That means expenses. Translators are expensive. And another thing which she also said, when I said, yes, but you can get me a translator, but still I will have to translate all these legalese back into Russian because I don't know.
And you're still frightened, intimidated and
Exactly.
scared of speaking to people. We've put through a notice of this to say she's scared of speaking directly because they live in a Soviet regime. She's got a natural fear of these bullying authority figures who wear these big hats and they've got big heads to fit underneath them and think they're powerful, you know. She's got a fear of these people because they are nasty. They are nasty. So anyway, it's the fact she turned around to the council solicitor and said, can we get a translator here? I'm going, who's running this hearing today? If it was the court, it should be a court translator, surely. Okay. Anyway, right. If you go through the council, Wigan Council Constitution, and all you people, I've asked people to provide me copies of the council constitutions. I haven't had any yet. Please get me a copy of your council constitution. Right. I've got Wigan's. Please get a copy of your council constitution. Right. There's some interesting stuff turning up from around the country. People are sending me this. Right. And it states under section. Page 59 of the Wigan Council Constitution, Wigan Borough Council Constitution, page 59, for those who live in the Wigan area, right? Get a copy, it's on the internet, right? And it says in section 13.8, right? How's this? Decisions making by council bodies acting as tribunals.
Read that again.
Decision making by council bodies acting as tribunals. Tribunals. Sorry, my accent. The council, a councillor or an officer acting as a tribunal or as in a quasi-judicial manner or determining / considering, other than for the purposes of giving advice, the civil rights and obligations or the criminal responsibility of any person will follow a proper procedure which accords with the requirements of natural justice and the right to a fair trial contained in Article 6 of the European Convention of Human Rights. Well, that kind of jumps at the page of me, I'm going, what is that? What's that about, you know? Anyway, that's what we were on a Friday. It is a council body acting as a tribunal. Okay? Now, to give some sort of semblance of independence, they brought in a judge to come in and act as a tribunal. So they're actually not employed by the council. They're brought in under HHCTMS. I'm sure there's fees getting paid for all this stuff, you know, so again, you can question the full independence of it. So I mean, I'm not saying the judge was there purely and totally impartial. I'm not saying she was there purely partial to the council, but she certainly wasn't completely impartial, just by the total setup of it, you know. So there's some jumps out of that natural justice. So it says here, and it accords with the requirements of natural justice. So that's obviously the rules that I'm applying in that hearing. What is natural justice? So I dig around as I do, and I come across this thing called, I got it from Australia. What is meant by principles of natural justice and procedural fairness? What's that? Under natural justice, right? Essentially it's for employee tribunals, servant tribunals. Okay? Now we're starting to see what these things are. Okay? This is where the subterfuge is. They brought you in an employee tribunal, you are not an employee. You can stand there and go, piss off. Right? Your consent is required, right? They must have your consent, they must have taken power from you to do that, right? They do not want us to know that because we can start challenging it, okay? So this is why all subterfuge, this is why she didn't want to mention jurisdiction. Okay? Because there is no jurisdiction. There's no judicial jurisdiction. This is, you know the word is, the authority of a company. It's no jurisdiction as such.
Fraud, that's what it is.
That's a good word for a fraud. It's a very good word for Fraud Act 2006, sections 2, 3 and 4.
By omission.
By omission, by misrepresentation in the Fraud Act, yeah, absolutely. There's a whole raft of things we're looking at, misconduct in public office, fraud, you know, I would go as far as that at the moment. But there's a lot we're working on, we've got a team working on it at the moment, don't worry. So, so what is meant by principles of natural justice and procedural fairness? The opportunity to be heard by an impartial decision maker is at the heart of rules of natural justice and procedural fairness. The rules of natural justice apply whenever the rights, property or legitimate expectations of an individual are affected by a decision. Right? So it's, I won't go through the whole thing. You can it's on the Freedom North West website. Have a look at yourself. It's in 2 pages. There's 3 rules of natural justice. One is called the hearing rule. The hearing rule demands that a decision maker must give an opportunity to a person whose interests may be adversely affected by their decision the opportunity to be heard. Hearing, heard. Okay, so complying with that. Next one is the bias rule. The bias rule demands that the decision maker should be disinterested and or unbiased in the matter to be decided. Well, I've been in tribunals before, I've been in real big legal cases. Big stuff, multi-million pound stuff as legal witnesses, and both sides had to agree who the arbitrator was to ensure that both sides were satisfied of the independence of the arbitrator. What's happened is the council have basically told her, you must come to us, blah 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 blah, right? And what they're doing is offering her a thing called alternative dispute resolution. Now before you go to court, right, you need to attend what they do a thing which is called alternative dispute resolution, right? Look it up. It's on, I think I've dumped it on the Freedom North West file section again. Look it up. What it is the parties must have exhausted all other avenues before they actually go to court. Okay, and that way you're not wasting court time with nonsense. Yeah? You can understand that, right? So this alternative dispute resolution, if one party refuses to take part in that or doesn't fully comply with it, when you go to the main court, the judge will weigh against the party who has not pursued alternative dispute resolution or has refused it. The judge can weigh against them, which could be just signing summary warrants, doesn't it? The judge can say, well, they've not turned up, signing a summary warrant, right? So this is the bait and switch they're putting on us. This is the bait and switch. They're throwing a form of alternative dispute resolution at us. Okay, we can say, hold on, I don't agree to that. I've got another way of alternative dispute resolutions. Well, there's some funny stuff happening in the background with that at the moment of alternatives we can throw at them. Because as far as we're aware, it's not a problem to say, hold on, no, I don't agree with your alternative dispute resolution method. I've got another one, so let's negotiate on how we can resolve this amicably, and so we can both agree on it. Okay, at the moment we're just accepting this because they're threatening this Sean McNally, okay, director of crime, because he offer threats. You go to court or issue warrants. That's not exactly sort of amicable and fair and impartial, is it? Okay.
Does he sit in London, I wonder?
Yeah, I think he's down south somewhere. Yeah, he's not Wigan. He's one of the top dogs.
No, I think it's pretty far away from Wigan.
Absolutely.
Signed.
Well, his name's signed. It's not signed. It's just his name is put on. It's not signed. It's obviously a quick phone call down to London. You authorise that? Yeah, okay. Let's go and get him. A serf jumped out of the box, let him batter him back into place. Let's kick the shit out of him, frighten him, put him back in the box. You know. Anyway, tough guy. The no evidence rule is the third rule. The no evidence rule means in essence that a decision that is eventually made must be based on logical evidence, proven in a balance of probabilities. That is, the alleged behaviour is more likely to have occurred than not. Which is fair enough. Okay. Now, going further down, there's a few things jump. Remember saying that a power play taking place in this tribunal hearing, where the judge is desperate trying to take power, to sort of absorb power, to get my good lady to acquiesce some of that power, to surrender that power to her. She needs that power, right? Because at the moment they're presuming it. So what we did is we went in and rebutted their power, revoked it and challenged it head on and brought bigger authority to the table. So and there it says, what is relevant or irrelevant will depend on instrument, legislation or policy conferring the power on the decision maker. Right, so this is council, so what power, so the reference to the word power there. An administrative decision maker or authority may not exercise their power unreasonably. Power. Natural justice and procedural fairness are common law concepts. That's just a wee add on there. So that word power, guys, is the most powerful word. Actually, it's the most powerful word in your legal dictionary. Look it up. Word power. It's what they use, what we're surrendering to them. Right? We do not have to surrender power, but we do it every day. If you don't know what they're doing, they will take power from you even though they've done it. So you have to be wide awake to the fact not to surrender power to these buggers, because the minute you surrender just a bit of power, bang, they're on you. Okay? So, they
actually even couldn't kick you out as my representative sitting
No.
and shouting because it was not.
It's not a court. All they can do me for is a private building, get security to remove me, but there's no contempt. Okay. Right. Just to read through section 5 of the Bangalore Principles was talking about in that script. The script, by the way, is on the Freedom Northwest website. Everything I do is public. I don't hide in the shadows like Sean McNally and the rest of these characters, right? I don't hide behind titles and shadows and pretend I'm a tough guy. I'm a fucking tough guy. Okay? I'm happy to stand up and go public. I'm my best defence. We all are. The fact you're sitting here today, guys, you guys have got balls standing here today because you're willing to take this stuff on board and run with it yourselves. We all are tough guys, right? And these guys know it now and they're getting frightened. They know we're starting to rear up at them and we're taking our power back. I mean power, I don't mean it's some sort of stupid political left wing, right wing. I'm talking about genuine, your fundamental power. Right, your freedom to contract. Okay, right. So, section 5 of this Bangalore Principles, ensuring equality of treatment to all before the court is essential to the due performance of judicial office. So it's the equality of treatment to all, not just legal persons, not just people at Wigan Council have decided, or Wigan Magistrates Court, or Sean McNally, or whoever. Right, all. Okay. The application. That's the principle. The application of that is 5.1. A judge shall be aware of and understand diversity in society and differences arising from various sources, including but not limited to race, colour, sex, religion, national origin, caste, disability, age, marital status, sexual orientation, social and economic status, and other like causes, which are known as irrelevant grounds. So social status and other like causes. Being a natural person is a social status. Of course it is. 5.2, a judge shall not in the performance of judicial duties by word or conduct manifest bias or prejudice towards any person or group on irrelevant grounds. Okay, she sort of manifested prejudice upon me, didn't she? as a natural person, but anyway. A judge, this is 5.3, a judge will carry out judicial duties with appropriate consideration for all persons and as the parties, witnesses, lawyers, court staff and judicial colleagues without differentiation on any ground immaterial to the proper performance of such duties. Okay, that's fair enough. 5.4, a judge shall not knowingly permit court staff or others subject to the judge's influence. It's an interesting one. That would be Justice Clark's, Assistant Justice Clark's. So a judge shall not knowingly permit court staff or others subject to the judge's influence, direction or control to differentiate between persons concerned. How good is that? Natural or legal? In a matter before the judge or on any relevant ground. Wow. 5.5. A judge shall require lawyers in proceedings before the court to refrain from manifesting by words or conduct bias or prejudice based on relevant grounds, except and as are legally relevant to an issue in proceedings may be the subject of legal advocacy, legitimate advocacy, right? So it's all to do with you representing the person, you're allowed to be partial representing the person, but in there it states quite clearly it's all persons, not just legal persons. They can't ignore it, it's in there. So we've established what the courts are, these magistrates' courts hearings. We've got a judge sitting under the royal coat of arms, refusing to give us a jurisdiction, fraud. Black and white, outright, utter fraud, right? Watch your space.
But those kind of law principles only apply to a judge as sitting under the crown, doesn't it? I mean, the scenario we're talking about.
That's, yeah, but then we can argue that her as a judge, she should know this.
Yeah. Well, I know.
She's sitting under a coat of arms, she knows it's wrong.
But whether she has to adhere to it, because she's not actually sitting under the Crown's authority.
But she has
she's
told
not as a
herself
judge.
that she knows
That's
Bangor
the game, like you
principles,
said,
and
it's
she
a-
will. If she said that, that means that she openly admitted, and she openly admitted that she was a judge here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what she didn't say.
But I agree with what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, this is something we're going to find out, right? If she's acting as a sort of officer of court or
Yeah.
whatever,
Whatever
arbitrator
else,
of court,
yeah.
under oath of court, right? It could be she's not subject to that, in which case
Yeah.
we need to be kicking up a stink.
Yeah, yeah, that's what
She
I'm saying.
should be subject to that.
If she's under somebody else's employment at that time, do you think she'll actually register with the Inland Revenue?
No, we're sure, we're absolutely sure.
That's what that-
We're absolutely sure, no, we're absolutely sure what's happening is that the council's paying HMCTS for arbitration facilities.
Right.
So they're doing it the indirect route, you know, because it's just too obvious getting in and pay the judge directly.
The guys come
No
up with
cashing
very
out
valid
payments.
points.
Yeah.
Answering point. The judges are exempt from income tax because they are officers of the Crown.
Judges are exempt income tax, I didn't know that
They are
one.
exempt from income tax
Fuck.
because
Jesus
in their
Christ.
capacity as a judge, that was an individual, as their capacity as a judge, their, if you like, remuneration, we call it, right, is exempt from tax, from income tax. So they would, she wouldn't get into trouble.
Yeah, she's not, no, I don't care, she's not getting paid directly by the council. Bottom line is, she's not getting paid directly by the council. The council, as far as we're aware, are paying the HMCTS. But nobody will tell you this. You go there and try and ask this question to them. Why are they not telling us this? What's all the secrecy about? Why all the subterfuge and secrecy and lies and
Skullduggery, it's a good word.
changing hats and changing titles and scurrying around like little fucking rats with your hands in their pockets? What is all this about? Can we not have a, as I said in the last meeting, all I'm looking for is honesty, dignity. See the Bangor principles? That's all we're looking for. A bit of honesty, a bit of openness, a bit of independence within the judiciary. Because at the moment, guys, we're not seeing it. And there's a room full, you can't see here, there's a room full here, right? There's an internet full of people out there, and more of us are learning every single day. If you guys are not afraid now, you better start getting